Who doesn't know the story of the marionette who became a boy? The creator of Pinocchio was born right here in Florence. Lee Cowan takes us to the nearby town where it all began.
Rome has the Colosseum, Venice its canals, and then there's Collodi. This tiny Tuscan town lays claim to something just as famous, Pinocchio. Here, the boy puppet is a giant, a patron saint, his smiling face on as many tourist trinkets as the Pope himself.
Meet Pinocchio.
The Pinocchio most of us know is the Walt Disney version,
Pinocchio, why didn't you go to school?
School?
where the mischievous marionette famously fibs his way out of trouble.
I was going to school till I met somebody.
Met somebody?
Yeah, two big monsters with big green eyes.
But the film is a much lighter version than what its Italian author had in mind. His name was Carlo Lorenzini, a journalist and an author who spent his boyhood in this town, eventually taking the town's name, Collodi, as his pen name. At the National Carlo Collodi Foundation, there are hundreds of translations of Pinocchio on display.
This is the very first appearance of Pinocchio.
Roberto Vizzani is the librarian here.
It was published on July 7, 1881, the story of a puppet.
Much like the works of Charles Dickens, Collodi's Pinocchio was serialized in installments for a magazine. But that version has our poor, misguided puppet paying for his misdeeds with his life, hanged from a tree. A scene inspired by this giant oak, as legend has it, not far from Collodi's childhood home.
So how did he revive him?
He revived him because there was a pressure by the young readers.
The kids didn't want him to die.
Yeah, of course.
So Pinocchio got a second chance, and thanks to his good heart, turns from naughty to nice, finally becoming a real boy.
I think both children and adult people can appreciate this coming-of-age story.
Collodi's Pinocchio Park is a place as much carnival as Sculpture Garden, where noses sprout from tree trunks.
Pinocchio!
And puppet shows still delight. In Florence, about an hour away, you'll find Pinocchio lurking in doorways and on window ledges.
To Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
There's a statue of Pinocchio outside Fabrizio Gori's restaurant.
All the portraits are mine.
That's yours.
This, yes.
A true Renaissance man, he's also an artist who helped illustrate a modern edition of Pinocchio that's currently in the collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York.
So why do you love it so much?
Because it's the history, it's also the history of me, as it's the history of you.
There is perhaps a little bit of Pinocchio in all of us, and the best of us don't grow out of it.
Do people call you Geppetto in real life?
Francesco Bartolucci has been carving Pinocchios since he was a boy. His stores sell the wooden toys all over the world. Each is hand-carved, created, not just assembled. And that's an important distinction, he says, when the lights go off.
They are almost all your kids. They are real boys to you in some ways.
Yes, many times when I'm in my workshop at night, working alone, I have the feeling that they move, that they are telling me something. It is a very strange feeling, me and my Pinocchio.
Carlo Collodi died before his Pinocchio became a household name. Looking back, he was a Geppetto with words instead of wood, whose beloved puppet is still reminding us just what it means to be human.